14, verse 10 and 11.
Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the work.
Go ahead.
Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake.
So this is Jesus talking, and he's just like, look, man, believe me, I'm in the Father. This stuff that's coming from me is coming directly from the throne. And he said, but if you don't believe for no other reason, just look at his works, though. You know, this is, I mean, just look at what he did. And that's what we trying to do. We trying to look at what he did. And as you discover and see the things that Jesus did, man, Jesus loved the poor. He really loved the poor. And he despised the evil. Like we done read, like he despised it. Like, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. Man, my man walked into the church, turned over all the tables with the money on. You know, he was pissed. He had that kind of spirit on him. He ain't like that. You know, you read in the Bible, he like, you generations of vipers. You know, he called these cats in their face devils. But when it comes to the poor, he loved the poor. You know, he man, I mean, you gotta love somebody when you decide that you're gonna show out and feed thousands, 2,000, 5,000 people, I don't know the number exactly, off of 5 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish, or vice versa. Regardless, to do stuff like that, that's love. That's love. Let's go to John chapter 15 now. And this is what you got to have on you. You know, Jesus, in Matthew 25, you know, he was like, you know, it's a parable in there. And, you know, basically he was saying, well, you know, you went and you fed the hungry and, you know, you did all this. And he said, when, you know, talking to Jesus, said, well, when did this happen? He said, well, when you did this, when you went and fed the hungry, you were feeding me. And when you went and visited those that was in prison, you went and visited me. You know what I'm saying? This is the love that Jesus got. You know, and that's what you got to have. John chapter 15 and picking up at verse 11.
These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you.
That's what it all boils down to. This is the commandment. You love one another like he loved us. So you got to go in there and find out what that true love is. Go ahead.
Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father have I made known unto you.
I like that. He said, no greater love have no man in this, that a man will lay down his life for a friend. How many people y'all willing to sacrifice anything? Anything. See, a lot of times we'll do stuff for people, but it don't even really be no sacrifice. It don't be nothing to it. You know, it don't, man, look here. If I got $1 million, it ain't nothing to give you 100. But if I got 2, I'm giving you half now? Whoa. That's a big much. You know, how many of y'all willing to lay down your life for your friend? See, y'all thought when we read this, I was just going to say, is y'all willing to die for your friend? Shoot, you ain't even dying on a simple level. I know you ain't ready to die for him like Jesus died for us. You know, I'm just showing you this. Like I say, I'm a tour guide, and I got to work on me as well. You know, I got to be able to sacrifice my life for my brothers and my sisters. And that's something that's love. Ain't no greater love than that. That's what we just read. Let's go on over to Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4. We're getting near the end, but it's important. It's important that we learn about the mind of Christ, because this is the mind that's going to give you salvation. It say, now are ye sons of God, but it doeth not yet appear what you shall be. But we just read that you going to be, you know, you are no longer servant. You know, you a fellow, you brother with Jesus. But the only way you brother with Jesus if you doing what he command, if you put on his mind. Because what he command came out of his mouth, but we read earlier what come out your mouth come from your brain. You know, it's real simple. I love the Bible. It's so easy to put together. Excuse me. So easy to put together. Let's go to Ephesians 4, and let's pick this up in verse 1. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 1.
I therefore,
It's Paul talking.
the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called.
See, that's what we got to do. Paul saying we need to walk worthy in this vocation that we've been called into. Go ahead.
With all lowliness and meekness.
So we got to get humble. We got to get a little more lowly, a little more meek. And I don't mean walk around here with your head down and, you know, you acting like the world going to an end. That's wrong with you. I'm supposed to be humble. No. You know what I'm saying? What you're supposed to do is keep your mouth closed sometime when somebody's talking. You ain't got to be seen all the time. You ain't got to be heard all the time. You know what I mean? You ain't got to go out and go buy the biggest car so everybody else can go see. Or the most fanciest threads. You know, that's what we talking about, being humble. He said with all lowliness and meekness. Go ahead.
With long suffering, forbearing one another in love.
Yeah, we got to forbear. That's some humility. For me to put up with somebody's problems. Or when they come to the scene and they trying to serve God. Because see, thing about it is, people when they come to serve God, everybody come from a different walk of life. Or everybody come with their sins. And you bring these sins all to one room, and something that this brother might do might drive me nuts. Because I don't do it. And vice versa. So I got to learn to forbear with him. I got to learn to be long-suffering with that. Just like Jesus did with us. Because Jesus got to deal with all our sins. All the stuff we do. Go ahead, bro.
Endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace.
I know that's right. Let's skip over to verse 13.
Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God.
So this is what we all trying to do. We all trying to come into the unity of the faith. Like one. Like how we saw Jesus and his disciples. They was one. We all trying to become one till we all come into the unity of the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God. See, you can't get this salvation without no knowledge. This is what this class has been about. I have been trying to give you some knowledge, some know on how Jesus thinks. And with that knowledge, then you can start applying it in your life, and you can see when you understand, you will start applying it in your life, and then you can have some wisdom. And when you operate in wisdom, you're going to operate in salvation. Real talk. And you can operate in wisdom. When you can turn back and say, well, that was a wise move. That just means that you walked through that bad boy in righteousness. Because if you didn't walk through righteousness, then that wasn't wisdom. I promise you that. But go ahead. Where we at? I'm sorry.
Unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we henceforth be no more children tossed to and fro.
Right, so yeah, we got to be humble like children, but we grow in this thing so that we not going to be like the children tossed to and fro. Go ahead.
And carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive.
So look, this is the beauty of it. You put on God's mind, you ain't got to worry about being deceived. That's what that chapter verse just said, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, going from here to there. You know, I remember a sister, she came to the Israel guy in Atlanta. This was about 10 years ago. She was chasing a man. That's what she was doing. She was really chasing a man. So, you know, she acted like, oh, I love, Israel. I love God, and I'm going to keep these commandments. And, and she probably meant it until she couldn't get that man. So when she couldn't get that man, because she was operating like a child, instead of acting like a woman of God, she found a Muslim brother. And now she Islamic. She getting tossed to and fro with any ways of doctrine. But when you putting on the mind of Christ, that stop all that. You ain't following nobody but Jesus. You ain't following no man. You ain't following no woman. You following God, Jesus Christ. And that'll prevent you. It say that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, by trickery of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie and wait to deceive. Go ahead, verse 15.
But speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ.
All right, bro. Let's go on over to Psalms. Let's get into some of these writings of David real quick. We got a lot more Psalms and Proverbs here, and then we're going to finish it up back in Philippians. So let's go on over to Psalms, and I'm not going to cut none of this off this paper. But all this is short and easy reading, but it's going to help us. It's going to help us develop a new mind, the mindset of Christ. Psalms 119, and we're going